Hi, this is Martha from MarthaJStamps.com, and I'm going to show you how to make this card today, which is the woven card. You will need a piece of pineapple smoothie cardstock, which is 8.5 by 11, folded in half to create the card base. A piece of lavender fusion cardstock, 4 inches by 5.25 inches. One piece of whipped cream cardstock, 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. One piece of whipped cream cardstock, 4 by 5.25 for the inside of the card, which is optional. 3 strips of confectionery prints pattern paper, 1/2 inch wide by 12 inches long. Lavender fusion ink pad, pineapple smoothie ink pad, the lavender fusion gingham ribbon, and lavender fusion satin ribbon. One button out of the Journey Color Blooms 2 pack. We're going to use one of the yellow buttons. It's actually pineapple smoothie color. And let's see, I find it really helpful to have the crease tool so that when you've got your paper cut, if you run along the edge of your card, you'll get a nice crisp edge, which makes it look a lot more professional. Other things you'll want to have are Journey foam squares and white liner double-sided adhesive. I also use the Journey rectangles dies in order to create the piece that the sentiment is stamped on. We'll need a piece about 2 feet long of the whipped cream Journey thread and another piece that's about 6 inches long, and this will make our faux bow. To make the faux bow, take your long piece of Journey thread and wrap it around a few of your fingers. Then slide it off your fingers and use the little piece to make a tie. Now layer your satin ribbon and gingham ribbon on top. Actually, let's put the bow on top of the ribbons. Didn't pull it tight yet because I want to position the bow over the ribbon. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull it tight and play with it so it looks nice. And then I'm going to tie it on top. The first knot was on the back, but now it's on top because I want to be able to attach my bow or my button. So I'll go up from the back and I'm going to crisscross and go down from the front. I'll take the other string and go up from the back and crisscross and into the last hole and go down. And now I can slide it closer to the front of the bow. And just knot it and tie it off. And we'll trim these pieces once we get it on front of the card. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually ink the edge of the cards. And I'm just sliding the card stock along the top edge of the ink pad. I'm going to do the same thing with the whipped cream, use the same ink pad. Okay. And I have my pieces of pattern paper, and on these sections I have just taken a 12-inch strip and cut it so that it is longer going both ways. Basically cut it in half. Okay, cut all 3 strips in half. I've already inked these with the Lavender Fusion, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did with the cardstock. Just run the edge of the pattern paper along the complementary ink pad. It gives it a more defined edge. You don't have to do the ends because we'll do that after we've got it stuck down on the card. That was a good save. Almost dropped it right on my cardstock. Okay. So the trick with weaving the paper is actually get it kind of the way you want it and then turn it over. So I'm gonna get it kind of the way I want it. Okay, like that. And now I'm going to pick the cardstock over and lie it down the way I kind of want it. All right. I'm going to use my cardstock as a base so I know how to line it up. Because you really can't do it from the front. I don't know how many times I tried. I finally had to look it up on the internet. How do people make that work? Okay. As you can see, I'm just kind of weaving them over and under, and also helpful to have some post-it notes handy. I'm working on the right edge of my cardstock because I want it to be, when it's flipped over, on the left edge. So, trying to make it go straight. In the bottom, I know I want it to be up a little higher, so I'm going to slide it over. Trying to leave about a 1/4 inch in between all the way down, and I'm trying to make it straight. Good enough. Okay, this one looks like it needs to go like that, so it will be straight. Okay. Now to get the woven pieces to stay where you want them, there we go. You actually need to put your white liner tape on now from the back. Okay, I've got my Journey Bloom tool with the really pointy end, and that's my favorite tool when I'm working with the white liner tape, because I can just pull the white liner backing right off. Comes right up that way. So now I'll go the other direction. And you can use your fingernail or a crease tool to really adhere the tape down. I'm going to pull that off. They should all stick where they are because they've been taped on the center part. And flip it over, and voila! Perfect. Okay, so I want it about there on my card. Trying to make it straight. And now, just trim off the excess. And our Journey Pro shears are great because not only are they self-sharpening, but they are Teflon coated, so they won't stick to the tape. And I purposely ran the adhesive tape off the edge. I knew it would extend past the card. I did that because I wanted to make sure it would stick all the way to the edge of the card. we go. Okay, I ran the piece of whipped cream cardstock through the cutting die and the piercing die at the same time, which allows you to get this really awesome effect. I love that. Okay. Oh brother, I totally forgot to mention the stamp set that I'm using, which is A Lovely Day. And it will fit right there. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment in the Lavender Fusion ink. Perfect. Okay, and I totally cheated. I just used scissors. I didn't use the trimmer. I didn't figure out a correct mathematical distance. I just put it on there and cut it. There we go. I'm going to run the edges of both of these along the Lavender Fusion ink pad. When you do it this way, you get just a nice thin inking. It's not a big thick one. So if you prefer thick, use the sponge or do it like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to put a couple foam squares on the back, centered on the pineapple smoothie piece. More foam squares. That looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to put the layers together with the white liner tape. Before I stick that on, I realized I'm going to go back over the edge because these pieces do not have any ink on the end. So I'm just going to give them a little more ink I did the paper, the cardstock, but not the pen and paper. Good save, Martha. Okay. And now my bow. And I'm just gonna I want this bow to go this way. Oopsies. Okay, and I used 2 layers of foam dots on the back of the bow because I want it to be the same level up from the card base as this top layer. Remember, we put a layer of foam dots under this piece and under this piece, so we have 2 layers. There we go. And there's your card. Thanks for joining me.